Hello everybody, this is the introduction or welcome video to the public library. I spent I planned to make it a little bit early, towards the end of the last week, but things happened and I also wanted to read through your introductions and just see where you all were from. I know I see a lot of faces that I already know. I'm very excited to have returning students, so yay! Just in a different format. With these videos each week are kind of just to keep us on track of what we're doing this week, and a little bit of discussion and just some comments on, depending on if we have assignments due or assignments that have already been graded and submitted. So this first video will be kind of a going over Canvas and over the syllabus. It seems like some of you are nearing the end of the program, so maybe you probably already know Canvas vaguely well or decently well. I've been using Canvas for way too long, so I am very familiar with it. So if you get confused, if you have a question, or if you see something that's incorrect, please let me know. There will be mistakes. I'm still working on some of the modules. This is the second time I've taught this. It's been a couple years since I taught it, because I taught it the first semester I was hired here, and I'm almost a little over 2.5 years into the program. So my name's Dr. Abigail Phillips. I'm an assistant professor at the School of Information Studies. Hello. I'm going to start my third year coming up in August, which seems very far away. But so bear with me while I get everything together. Right now, Canvas, I like our site to look pretty clean and simple, so it's easy to understand and look through. You can approach using Canvas different ways. There's some tabs on the left-hand side, but there's also, I think the easiest to me is just to scroll up and down, because it has some resources for the course, the syllabus, and helpful information in each of the modules, so they'll all kind of follow down. And also it'll have, whenever there's an assignment, I'll have a link to the assignment where you can upload that. Hopefully you all have had some experience with uploading assignments, using the kind of internal mechanism that you upload an assignment with, but I have complete faith in you. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Just welcome to the class. I really enjoy teaching this course, as I've taught it once, so now will be my second time. I am a former public librarian. Most of my career, starting to edge over into academic territory, but I worked in a public library starting as a teenager, as a volunteer, then an aide, then a library assistant, and then a librarian. And I'm from Georgia, so I worked in a rural public library in South Georgia, so that's where most of my experience comes from. So I do have a strong background in public libraries and public library service. And I will, as the semester goes on, I'll add some readings. Most of them won't be required. Most of them will be kind of news-related articles that I see pop up from ALA, from American Libraries, or Publishers Weekly, or Book Riot, or something like that. More practitioner-based that just keeps you in the know about what's going on right now. Unfortunately, public library research is not as there aren't as many researchers in the field of public library research. I'm one of them, thankfully. So I'm doing my part, me and my colleague. So we're doing our bit to bring in more public library research, because so much of it is focused on academic libraries, which also, of course, needs research as well. But public libraries and school libraries definitely do too. Let's see. So you should have, let's see if I can pull my book out without destroying all the other books. Yes. So this is our book, The Introduction to Public Librarianship, the 3rd edition. You can get a used copy. You can rent a copy. It might be a little tricky to find it in a public library, but have at it. Yeah, so it's a good textbook. That's why I'm including it, but I do hate to make you all pay for a book for a course. But it does have different sections that you might want to refer to later on if you're taking different courses, or if you decide to go into public librarianship even further. Let's see if I can pull another book out without everything falling down. Yep. This is this is probably something you're already familiar with. It's the APA 7th edition publication manual. So everything we do will be in APA. Yeah, so you don't have to buy this book. I buy it because I need some nitty-gritty references or citation, how to do it, different citations for different things. But in a lot of your courses, you will be using APA. Some of you may already have encountered that in foundations or organization of information or something like that. Also, sometimes what's used in LIS is Harvard. I'm working on an article right now where I have to change all my citations to Harvard style, which is not my native style. I know maybe some of you come from MLA or Chicago, but there's all just little twinges. There's some differences, but APA is what we will be using in this course. And we have one more book that is recommended. You might be able to get it from your library, Diffusing the Angry Patron, how to do it guide, how to do it manual for librarians and paraprofessionals. Something I wish I had when I was both in library school and pre-library school, because you will encounter patrons that are frustrated, angry, upset. In the majority of the cases, it isn't about you. It's usually something going on in their personal life, is what I've come to understand, and is what a former director told me. So you kind of have to take yourself out of the equation, even though it's really hard if somebody's yelling at you, because I've been there and it's kind of upsetting. But we'll be using that. We'll be reading 2 chapters from that later on in the semester. So not required, but really highly recommended. So in this course, I'm breaking it up into several different sections. We'll look at the history of the public library, public librarianship as a profession, some leadership, governance, organization, thinking of running a library, managing a branch, thinking about marketing, coming up with a marketing plan for your library, understanding your community, developing budget, which in a lot of cases you have to learn to do on the job, because budgets are different for all sorts of libraries. I learned how to do the budget on the job, and then I later went back and got a specialist degree that focused on leadership and management, so I have a little bit more experience in that. But finances and budgeting, huge. You can probably tell what's going on because of the pandemic, how library budgets have been slashed, staffing has been slashed. Staffing is something else we'll be talking about. Let's see what else got going on. Grant writing, fundraising, trying to get money from outside sources rather than Maybe you get money from the city or the county or the state, or maybe a combination of all those. I've run into that. We'll talk about customer service and patrons in general, and working with patrons, and community building. And then I break it down. I thought it was important to talk about adult services, children's services, and young adult services. I did a lot of work in young adult services, so I have a very close tie to that. So we have a lot of different kind of things to read about. In my research, I mainly focus on young adults, and also libraries who serve young adults, librarians who serve, and library workers who serve young adults. Talking more about promotion of the library. If people don't know what you have to offer, it's hard to get people into the library. I think with the pandemic, some people, it took me getting out of the library to realize how infrequently, I guess is the best word, people thought about libraries. But now with the idea of hotspots being loaned out, tax forms in some libraries, computer help, ebooks, e-magazines, all that, now that that's become a little bit more obvious with the pandemic, hopefully, in some cases, maybe people will know a little bit more about what the library does, and that it's not just all physical books or story time. Not that there's anything wrong with physical books or story time, but we provide a lot of different services that people don't know about. And we'll kind of close out with talk about library advocacy. Critical librarianship is something I talk about in all my classes, because I think it's really important to take a strong look at the work that we do and see the good and the bad, because there's definitely some flaws within the system, some that we can work to change ideally. And we'll talk about the future of libraries, which is very connected to critical librarianship. So if you had me in 501, you're going to have even more critical librarianship. So it's fantastic. So let's see, I already discussed about the assignments, APA style. Take a look at how APA formatting works. Like you have a cover page for each assignment, the ones that are more focused on writing. But for some of the assignments, such as the state library brochure we'll be designing, library data spreadsheet, some of those you don't really, APA citation style does not really fall into that. It's more when we get into the annotated bibliography and the future of libraries research paper at the end of the semester. So for those two assignments, I've given some possible topics that you can choose from, or you can choose something entirely different that you want to focus on. It's really up to you. I'm completely okay with you going off the topic list. It was just some that seemed appealing and are really relevant right now. Let's see, what else? So we have the state library brochure, library data spreadsheet. So we'll go into depth in looking at library data. I used to do this when I worked as a librarian. I was the one who created they were called the circulation reports, but really they were the reports about everything that we did, how many people came into the library, how many people attended the children's events, how many people came to the adult programs, how many people used our books, how many people looked at our magazines, at our newspapers. So just a whole huge data dump of what the library, how it's functioning. Since we're a nonprofit, we don't have that monetary value to say, oh, we made this much money this month. We can show this data to county commissioners, other politicians, the public, and show our value, because that's something that's a little more easily easy to grasp than, say, evaluations of a story time or a teen event. It's hard. That's more qualitative, taking away from it. Like, what did you experience? What did you get from this program? Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get that out than raw data. I'm sure you can understand that. And we'll look at a library budget. So you'll do a little bit of budgeting, design a program. So the program plan, annotated bibliography, everybody's favorite. I'll talk more about what that looks like if you've never done one before. That's completely okay. We'll compare some public libraries. You'll compare 2 public libraries just to get a sense of how libraries can differ in their operations. And the future of libraries paper at the end of the semester. As always, with a completely asynchronous course, discussion is huge, and you all have already done really well. I was looking over our first discussion, and I do not foresee any problems. So just, keep talking. Some of you are really into the topics that that we looked at this past week. So that's really exciting. Just participate, because since we're not in an in-person class, this is really one of the few ways we can really build a community within this class. Because I hope not only with a discussion, but also with the videos and feedback to me. You can always leave comments on when I post announcements, because I'll post this as an announcement. Just leave comments for me there, because I'm going to ask a question at the end of the video anyway, because I'm curious. So we should be like a little bit, I hope, ideally I'm building some engagement, because I don't want you to feel like you're taking like a correspondent course and you aren't really getting to know your professor or your fellow classmates. Because in a lot of cases with the discussions, I see you all learning stuff from one another or sharing ideas and sharing your own experiences, which is really fantastic. That's something that some added value that I don't necessarily bring to the class, because I'm not working in a public library right now, or I'm not a practitioner. So please, I hope you've reviewed the syllabus by now. I have especially the instructor policies. There's one about Canvas and student privacy. There is a little bit, I can go into Canvas and check out data, like how long you've looked at a page, how many times you visited Canvas. I don't really use that information that much, but it is something I wanted you to understand about your privacy. Really, the information is kept completely confidential. It's just to give me an idea if one of you goes missing. And I'm like, where did you go? You haven't visited, you haven't posted to the discussion board in a month or something like that, which would be really bad. And also, mental health is extremely important to me. If you had me for 501, you know that I will talk about it for days. But I really want you to succeed in this course, and that's incredibly important to me. So if there's anything that comes up that may hinder you doing well in this course, or you run into a roadblock, I know I run into roadblocks all the time with work. I suffer from depression, so sometimes it gets really hard for me to film a video like what I'm doing right now. It's just hard to function if you're not doing well mentally, or if you have something going on in your family, if you're sick, if you have some sort of illness. Please let me know. Again, you don't have to go into deep detail. You don't need to tell me everything that's going on. You can tell me as much as you would like, but I definitely understand, and I'm here to support you. So I know it can be hard if you're dealing with a really severe depression, to kind of reach out, or even sending an email can be exhausting. Believe me, I know. But just let me know what's going on and how I can help, and we can make some arrangements about assignments and discussion board posts. So that's why I have so many resources on the Canvas site about mental health. So those are there for you if you need them. Some national, and I know some of you are more local, but there's tons of resources out there. There's some available to you through as a student with UWM. So take advantage of those. All of them are online right now because COVID, but most of you are online students anyway, it seems like. So that wouldn't pertain to you, but there are you can counseling, there's some tutorials, just some workshops that you can take part in. I took part in a lot of that when I was a graduate student at Florida State University, which is where I got my master's and my doctorate and my specialist. So yeah, you're already, well, some of you, if you're in-person student, you're already paying for these services, so why not use them? And yeah, so please, if you haven't already, take a really good look at the syllabus, because probably a question you have may pop up. May be easily answered by looking at the syllabus. And again, if you see a mistake on Canvas, just let me know, and I'll correct it as quickly as I can. And I'm slowly working my way. Just the main issue for me right now is I'm trying to find, I'm adding more recent articles to each of the modules, because some of them are, because public libraries are under-researched, some of them are kind of old, like 2006, and a lot has changed since then. But believe me, I'm working hard on my side, and please let me know if you need anything. So I'll end this video with what I'm reading, kind of stereotypical, but with other videos we can talk about. You can tell me about other things that are happening, or we can share what we're doing. It's kind of since we're all sort of self-isolating, it's nice to have a real moment, and it's not just a class. We do other things too. I'm going to talk about, so let me know what you're reading. I just got this book 2 days ago because I'm a huge fan of Amber Ruffin. She has her own show. She's on the Late Show with Seth Meyers. So she and her sister wrote a book. You never believe what happened to Stacy. Crazy stories about racism. It's super funny, which you wouldn't think, a book about racism, but I highly recommend, and she's just hilarious. I'm also reading, I'm actually one of the few times reading on an electronic device, but Jenny Lawson is one of my favorite authors, and I'm trying to show it to you, but it's just showing you where I am in the book. But she wrote, you can probably see, tiny little, I'm also reading a graphic novel about a cat. She wrote another memoir called Broken in the best possible way. So this is an advanced reader copy. If you would like to know how to get advanced reader copies, let me know. I use NetGallery and Edelweiss. Those are 2 ways. As a librarian or a library student, you should try to get as many advanced reader copies, which are copies of the book before they're officially released. So usually sometimes they have proofreading errors, or the cover isn't completely finished yet, but they're called ARCs, just the lingo. So those are my 2 books. So what are you all reading? Reading anything fun, interesting, nonfiction? I read a little bit of everything. I've been reading a good bit of nonfiction. So I guess I'm reading 2 nonfiction books again. How did that happen? But I think go ahead and end this right now, because I try not to let these videos last too long, because I know how attention spans can be, at least mine. So I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whenever you watch this video. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye.